Today on Riffs, Beards, and Gear, we check out the all-new One Kit Wonder Modern Fusion Kit from GetGood Drums. GetGood Drums has taken the MIDI drum world by storm, and I am a daily user of the GetGood Drum products, namely the P4 kit and Modern and Massive, as well as Invasion when the time is appropriate, when I just want to go totally nuts with the drum kit. But the commonality between all of those kits is they are very, very full featured. There's a lot to them. That also means processing power. Now you can mitigate this a little bit with the new addition of CPU scaling in the newer GetGood drum libraries. But if you're just kind of riffing around and want to get an idea down, those sometimes cannot be very ideal, which is where the One Kit Wonder series comes in, beginning with their first kit in that series, the Modern Fusion Kit. Now the intent with the Modern Fusion Kit is to have a good all-around sounding drum kit that is very, very simple in nature. So you don't really have to think about, individual drum levels or selecting the right snare or kick. You have something that you can bring up and quickly just go to work with. And I think they've accomplished that. And real quick, before we dive in, I am a huge fan of GetGood Drums. I use their stuff every single day, but they have asked me to show you guys this kit, but all thoughts and opinions are mine and mine alone. So I'm gonna start with a good example of something that's just a riff idea. And this is a good example of something that I would lay down and maybe build upon or even change later, just depending on what I am doing. I'm going to play you the full mix. I am in Logic Pro X, and this is the One Kit Wonder Modern Fusion Kit. And this is what it sounds like in the context with some guitar and bass added. It sounds great. It's cutting. I can hear the toms. I can hear the kick. I can definitely hear the snare because I have it pumped up quite a bit. Everything is nice and clear. And I want to point out that I am not using a bust out, a multi-output version of Modern Fusion. This is a stereo instance of this plugin with no processing going on whatsoever. What you are hearing is coming straight out of Modern Fusion, which is awesome. So here is my main window for One Kit Wonder Modern Fusion. I have a couple of controls on the left, a couple of buttons on the right, and I have the main kit. Down here at the bottom, I have a mixer, which we will get to in a second, and I have four main tabs. I have the settings tab, a groove player, which I can select any of the GetGood or any of my own MIDI files, my groove patterns, and then I simply have an about for what version I am in, but for right now, we're gonna live in the full kit view. You will notice One Kit Wonder has CPU scaling. So we have high, medium, and low, and this is basically your CPU usage. It's going to, you can actually have super high fidelity kit, or you can have not as high fidelity kit if your computer or laptop is low on processing power, or you simply want to save processing power while writing so you can quickly get around. This is very, very friendly for that. We have a master out, and then we have a reverb out as well. We'll play with that in just a second. We have the drum kit. Notice there's no drop-down menus on any of these shells. This is just what you get. But GetGood has ensured that everything sounds great, and it does. I'm going to go ahead and isolate the kick. So I'm gonna go ahead and isolate the drum kit and let you hear it just by itself. It's modern sounding, it's punchy, and there's a lot of attack, and it's just really, really nice sounding. Notice I have the parallel button engaged. This is adding a parallel compression to get you some nice levelness and to kind of just make it a little less raw without it. So I'm gonna play this again, and I'm gonna click on and off of the parallel button, and you will notice how it just kind of brings up the volume and it brings up just the bigness of the drum kit when I have it engaged. Now when I don't have it engaged, raw drum tones. Now you'll notice when I disengage the parallel processing for the drums, that leaves a lot of room for the cymbals to just kind of come out, and the cymbals are kind of overbearing without the parallel. This is because of my settings that I have, which we will get to right now with the mixer. Now if I come down here, if you're familiar with the other GetGood Drum kits, the mixer can be pretty overwhelming if you don't know what you're looking at. That is not the case with the Modern Fusion kit. This mixer is very, very simple because again, that is the theme of the One Kit Wonder series. We have kick, snare, the toms, overheads, and room. And if I want to adjust individual volumes for an individual kit piece, I can just come in to the balance button, and then I have control over my individual mics, my close, overhead, room, and reverb in this case for the kick. For my snare, same thing. Notice I have the reverb up a little bit more. We can go ahead and play with that if we want. But this also allows you just a little bit more control, so you're not totally stuck if you want, if you want to turn up the kick or something like that, or turn down the snare, or have control over the individual toms. This is where you would go to control that. In the tom mics, we have the close, overheads, rooms, and the reverb. I could mess with the reverb a little bit more on the toms. I really wrestled with if I wanted it really roomy or not, but I think leaving it kind of tight and more pokey, as I call it, lots of attack, I think that ultimately works for this situation and the riff because there's a lot of space. Overheads, you have hi-hat, ride, and cymbal control, as well as reverb. Obviously, we're not adding any reverb to the overheads. And then for rooms, same thing, hi-hat, ride, cymbals, and reverb, which we do have a little bit of reverb going to the rooms. So on the topic of reverb, this master reverb slider, you will notice, is just unity gain along with the master. And this is just an overall reverb control as opposed to going into the individual elements. So I'm gonna play the kit again, and I'm gonna turn down the reverb, and then I'm gonna blend it back in. So even without the reverb, you notice that it has just the, the nice roomy sound. It still sounds fantastic, and it's not a completely dry kit. But adding that reverb definitely adds some glue to the overall sonic picture, if I may. Lastly, as far as the full kit view goes, we have this master EQ. Now, what is the master EQ? The master EQ is adding some low end and some top end. Typically the kind of EQ you would have in on a 2-bus, on a master 2-bus. And if you want to engage this will scoop out the kit a little bit. This is handy if you just kind of want to see how it's going to fit within the context of a mix, or you want to just kind of simulate how it's going to fit with other instruments. So I'm going to go ahead and play this, and I'm going to click the master EQ button on and off. You can hear what it's doing in the top end. I don't personally like the master EQ engaged. That's just not for me. I want the mid-range, and I like the attack, and I like the top end of everything, so I typically will leave this off. Again, This is built towards being very, very simple and effective and something you can bring up quickly to start writing or trading ideas with your songwriting partner or your bandmates or whatever. This is definitely something that I would travel with, to give you a good example of its usage. Because if I'm on a laptop and I'm in the back of a van kind of writing some parts, I would use this as opposed to Invasion or something like that. This kit is also pretty similar to a lot of drummers' kits in a general sense. So a lot of drummers can make do with, you know, a 5-piece kit and a couple of crashes and a stack and a china and a hi-hat. So it makes a lot of sense for a lot of situations. I have really enjoyed playing with it. And if you want to know more about the Modern Fusion kit and the One Kit Wonder series, click down below in the description. And with that, you've been wonderful. I've been Fluff. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed the video that you just watched, please consider subscribing. It helps me, help you, and then in turn you get more stuff to watch. And also, I have all sorts of stuff down in the description of this video. Sweetwater giveaway stuff, there's all sorts of links to all sorts of things, so consider checking that out as well if you're gonna hang. But if you don't hang, all good. I still love you.